from Zoom to YouTube that I don't have to get out of Zoom. And I have the setting up for my YouTube live, and I need to make sure I'm the human in the loop to make sure that this is record. Okay. Don't have to get out. And then I hear that it's delayed and I want to mute that. I don't need to hear echo from my voice. Okay. So we got that done purposely. Okay. So Dominique, if you can, and Maggie, we can see your lovely faces, everybody sitting up that we can see everybody in a proper manner. And it's the same thing, Nika as well, so we can see everyone, and Jessica as well, so I can see. Check on your face if you're then centered in the middle. Okay, so welcome everyone. Today I want to talk about any of our assignments. Do make sure that it is working properly. We'll talk about data today. Data is part of AI, really, to try to forecast and predict what's happening, giving insights to our data, how important it is. And we have abundance of data. Sometimes we have too much data that we need to control. We'll be talking about that. And then we'll be talking about the rest of the week. And when is our exam? Anybody remember? Roxy, do you remember when our exam is set? We changed the date.
I still have have it on my calendar for the 2nd, but did you guys move
you
it?
need to change your calendar to the 4th.
Okay, thank you.
Great. It's good. So it's changed. If you have your exam in your calendar is March 2nd, you want to change it to March 4th. The same time, but we're going to do it March 4th. So the beauty here, guess what, Roxy? You can take the exam and then you can go off to spring break, right? That you don't have to worry about that part. Okay, everybody with me on that? That has changed. The next thing that I want to talk about is, I guess the best way to do it is to share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And in sharing my screen, I want to go to Blackboard. And if I see this, Declan, do you see your face? You see your face right there?
Yeah.
You look just as good as you do probably in general. So we see a Declan there. We see that it is delayed. So I'm all right on that part. Okay. Now this is my audit section. And I need to go to my regular section. And if I go to my regular section, we'll see under announcements, and make sure that you see it now. Is everybody see this? That what the first thing I want is there is a Wix webinar that's scheduled for Friday, February 20th at 12 p.m. It's an hour seminar that I am requiring you to attend. After the first exam, we will be doing a project in groups where we will be AI consultants. And in doing that, I have a business academic partnership with Wix that will allow us to upgrade to a business plan. The difference here is that costs money, and I do not want anyone in the class to pay for it. In order for us not to pay for it, we need to attend, and I'm going to be attending it as well, the Wix University webinar on Friday the 20th. What I'd like to do is I want you to register for this by 11:59 tonight, and make sure you take a screenshot of your registration and upload it to the audit assignment instruction of proof of Wix webinar registration. So if you go to right now under the audit assignment instructions, you'll see here the proof. Let me just make sure I just move this. Let me take my audit edit mode out so we'll see it. You'll see that you get the proof of the university registration for the Wix University webinar. So if you click on this, rather than putting it in the audit area, what I want you to do is just upload your file and put your name on it as well. And you can add your comments there of your name that you've registered for the Wix University webinar. So what I'd like to do now, let's get it all out of the way. You
Dr.
remember
Rush.
how I always talk about it, Ava? I like to get a lot of things out of the way. So what I'd like to do is everybody do this. Go to announcements, click on this link. Let's open it in a new tab. Let's see if it works. We always have to try everything out, right? And here it is we want to launch your site for, there's two ones. It's launch your site with the Wix editor. Join the university team for an interactive session on building your online presence with the Wix editor. Let me see. And this is the same thing. And then this is on February 20th at 12 p.m. Register. Let's see if it'll work, right? So it says join Wix, learn how to plan and design and launch a professional website using intuitive tools available in Wix Editor, perfect for beginners and aspiring web creators. This session will help you build a strong foundation. And this is what I love. Plus, all attendees will receive 1 year Wix Premium, completely free to start building right away. This is what we all want to get. Reminder, please register using your school name and a valid EDU mail. Registers without a school affiliated email would not be admitted. So in this case, you can register. I'm going to register too. You register. I register. We all register.
Professor, a lot of people are DMing me that they have a class or cannot attend. So what do we do?
Okay, so let them know and let them show in this case, you'll take that down if they have a class at that time. Okay? We'll see what else we can do. If they have a class at that time, let them know and send you an email confirming that. Okay?
Okay, great.
And if you don't have a class, and it's not a big, and this is nice, you know, you don't have to, nobody's going to be asking you questions during it. You can just listen. Even if you don't feel that well, or it's a Friday, you want to just relax, you can even do it anywhere, right? I don't care where you are. University. Okay. And that is University, right, of Miami. Area study is tech, right? Graduation, and what is it? 2026. How did you hear about the session? You can say from professor. From professor. Okay. And then when we register, you've successfully registered, and you can take a screenshot of this. And then when you go to you're right here in the audit assignments, proof of registration. Just click that and create, just upload the files and add the comments that you registered. Okay? Any questions? Thanks, Isa. Yeah, if you have that. Sometimes even if you have, folks, if you want to get around it and you have class, what you can do is, if it's possible, you could even run the session, maybe even in a very low tone or mute, so at least you get the process that you are. So maybe there's even workarounds. But you can do that. Okay, Isa, you'll take care of having everybody then text you if there's a class conflict to that. Otherwise, they maybe even some people can view it in a low mode that they have it. Okay. Anything
Okay.
else, Isa, on that?
No.
Okay, so that works. So you have the registrations for that. Okay, next. Let me share my screen again. And Isa, do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. So if I go to the what's due section, I see right now that today is the 9th. People were asking me the readings and the adaptive for data management are due. The quizzes are due. And I'd like you to read these links. Under assignments for screen recording assignments, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the deadline. So I'll make the deadline this Friday at 11:59 p.m. Everybody understand? And it will be for both the individual recording assignment and the group recording assignment. And what I'm going to do for Wednesday, the 11th, we will not have formal class. So what I suggest is you meet with your groups on the 11th for Wednesday and finish up the assignment, and you will have then until that Friday at 11:59 to turn in the assignment for the screen recordings. Did you understand that, Declan?
Yes.
Okay, you want to repeat it so everybody can do it. Travis, you have a question?
Oh yeah, I just missed the part. You said there's no class on Wednesday, so we can meet with our groups on that day?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Exactly. So Declan, he said the exact same thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's perfect. So yes, you heard it. So Travis, since I want this to be, it's kind of usually it's like one fold. This is like a two-part assignment in one. So what I want is everybody to do their own screen recording, and your screen recording software has to be different from everyone in your group. So you need to check in your group. Did you check, Travis, in your group?
Oh
What
yeah, we
everybody's
messaged each
doing?
other like what recording software we're gonna use. So I think so.
Okay. And what I
Mhm.
want your individual software recording to do it as a product review, Travis. Think of it about what are the pros, what are the cons, where do you think you can use it, how does it differ from Zoom recording, and where can businesses possibly use it. And then after you do that product review and you record it within, right, its own product, then I want you also to follow the instructions for the group project. And the group is everybody comes together where I've already reviewed my product. Let's say it was Loom. And then I will go into the group, and each person in the group will basically present or show off their own product. And that way, Travis, what's the beauty here is that not only do you know one additional screen recording product, but you'll have another 3 that you'll do. So at times when you're having group projects or individuals, you'll know which one should I use, which one really fits well with social media, which one feels the right tool for errors that I need to report to a company. There's different ways in which I want to do it, because many times just saying something doesn't work, Travis, is what? It's useless for anyone else. No one can even help you. You don't even know where to escalate it to. If I don't see, a lot of times, besides even a screenshot, it's good to have a way in which you actually see a bit of a recording. And then others could be in the way to be able also to look at it, Travis, is where is AI? I bet you in a lot of these programs, they want to incorporate AI features and functions to it. Okay, and then I want each person in their individual to have a little bit of showing their face and their voice. And then also in the Zoom, you'll have one person, just like you did for the other project, one person initiate the Zoom meeting and stream it live to YouTube. Plus, you'll have additional recordings. And then you'll discuss it as a group of, hey, we got 4 different recordings. Where do you think? What are the positives? What is the price? Even if one is free, well, the one that's free, it only lasts for 5 minutes. If we do the paid for $99 a year, I'll make an example, you get unlimited or, an hour. So there's differences when I'm looking for you to just use the free version right now. But a lot of times when there's free viewers and it's watermarked, or the free version is time limited, a number of things, or the free version, they don't allow you to do additional features. And then discuss, is it local recording, right, Travis? Or is it in the cloud recording? A lot of times advantages it'd be nice for one person in the group to have a local recording, another one to have a cloud recording. So basically look at all those features. We also talked about, it asks open source versus closed. Travis, do you know what open source means?
Open source? Is it like I definitely heard of it, like some apps are open source, like you can kind of like see see the code almost. I'm not sure.
Exactly, not almost. What is a source? The source behind every software program is code, right, Travis? Behind every software program, there's code. And open source means they allow anyone to look at their code. And a lot of times, open source, have you ever heard, Travis, of Linux as an operating system?
Oh yeah, I have. It's pretty uncommon, I think.
Right. But Linux is an open source operating system. What does that mean? That the community can make adjustments to that software. A lot of times, but who can make adjustments are usually people that know computing very well, that knows coding. An average business user isn't going to be making additions to it. But the idea is usually, how much does open source cost? Travis, do you think? You're on a roll.
I think usually less because it's not private.
It's usually free, even. It's usually free, and they have a community that supports it. So anything under the Apple umbrella, Travis, do you think it's open source or closed? Proprietary?
Probably closed.
Probably called proprietary, because they want to make money and they don't want people to touch it, and they don't want to give it out free, right? But there are some software, for instance, like GitHub. Have you heard of that, Travis?
Yeah, for sure. I've used it on some software projects.
Right. So in GitHub, for instance, that's a lot of times open source, and people even share their source code, right, with others to try out. So that is like a community trying to bring that up. Do you understand? So in that case, that's what it means. So most of the time, what you'll be getting are usually proprietary programs that aren't, but there are sometimes when you hear open source, a lot of times it's free. The disadvantage, sometimes it's not as user friendly. And the disadvantage is there's not just per se paid support that you can find. So there's different areas, and for many times for scientific operations, things like that, applications, a lot of times the open source community is more technical in nature, right, Travis? So they help and deal with those types. So this is what I want. So as a group to be able to share, and each person in the group should be sharing and do it as a product review. You're not, in this case, and you may decide that the first one you pick, Travis, you want to try to maybe pick out one or two, and then you'll pick out the best one in which you want to review. Since I'm giving everybody now an extended deadline, and then you'll have Wednesday, everybody's going to be available. They can't say they have a class conflict at 3:30, so you can meet from 3:30 to at least the end of the class till 4:45. At least you can be doing your recordings and you can do other things. So is that clear, Travis?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. So the individual part is also due on Friday, just like
Yes,
overall.
I'll do the
Okay,
whole
sweet.
thing rather than having one versus the other. Let's have all of it submitted together. But you should by Wednesday finish your individual one so you can meet with the group, because then it's useless, to do it.
Yeah.
So what I say is the individual should be finished before this class on Wednesday, and then you can meet as a group. If you haven't already, you can meet as your group then on Wednesday to continue. That's how I would view it. Have everybody be prepared for Wednesday. And you say, a lot of times everybody's busy, so busy now it's even hard to get together with the group. I have exam here, I have this to do. Does that help? So Declan,
yeah, Tom, thank you.
Perfect. Declan, so is this work out for you?
Yeah.
So it's good. So everybody we'll put in a notice then, Ava, that we won't have formal class on Wednesday, and you can meet however you like, right? You could decide on your own Zoom, and guess what? You don't have to meet physically. That's the beauty, right? So whenever it is. Okay, so I think that since we were getting some, so no formal, right? Ava, perfect. No formal class, but Ava, can you put in then for everyone, since you're doing such a great job, is put that have the individual project due before class so we can meet as a group. You know what I mean? So you can meet on the group using meeting on the group on Wednesday, if need be. People want to do it before, that's up to them. Right, Ava? Thank you so much. Isn't it great that we help each other out? And it's easy kind of to get straight. Perfect. Ava, any other comments that it's not clear?
I don't think so.
Perfect. Everybody with me? Everybody with me so far? So Catherine, we're set to go? Good. So I want everybody to do a great job. That it's not so hurried, right, Catherine? That you say, hey, you can be proud of showing your product reviews. And some of these product reviews you can add on to later on to your final projects. But this is part of think about it as part of your portfolio. When people ask, Catherine, what can you do for me? They'll be looking at a lot of your work, right? That you can do for me, rather than saying, let me see those quizzes you took. Right? Even though you say, I did really well on those quizzes that I could take twice, open book, right? Okay, we're set on that. Let me just share my screen. Anything else, Isa, that I need to respond to?
No, everything's good so far.
Okay, so before I do it, has everyone signed up? Hunter, did you sign up for the Wix?
Yeah, I did, and I submitted on Blackboard.
Perfect. Isn't that nice? You got that out of the way. You know what I mean? We submitted on the Blackboard, and now we just put it in your calendar that you have to go. Because it's easy to forget. I forget all the time where I have to go to, right? So I have to forget. So make sure as soon as you do that, right, that you put in the right date that on I'll be there as well. Okay. So everybody's set with that. So let me go share. And we have then I know then I have my announcements. I know that I've registered for that. I know that I have to put in my calendar this webinar on February 20th. And now I know on my audit assignment, I have my proof that has to be there. And this is my screen recording assignment that has been postponed till Friday, 11:59, and Wednesday we won't have formal class, so you can meet, you'll have time to meet with your group. Perfect. When I looked at my what's due, the readings are still due for Wednesday in the audit, and the whole area here is when we talked about data management. So what's important is that you can go to your PowerPoints and get chapter 5. And also on Wiley and reading, you can see here we have Introduction to Information Systems, we have hardware, we have software, and we have data and knowledge management. And under that, we talk about managing data. And the whole idea that you'll see is managing data is the idea that we have a lot of data on our hands. So it basically goes to problems with our data. So let me stop for a minute and let's think. We know what data is, right? Cameron, you know what data is. Think about data, and let's think about an organization, and sometimes I'll call it an enterprise. An enterprise is a large organization. So we can say the university, Cameron, can you agree with me? The university is an enterprise, right?
Yes.
Yes, it's an enterprise. And when we think about an enterprise, this is something we have all in common. We're all members of this university. Everybody with me? We're all members of this university, right? And we're going to talk, our lesson today is about data. So my question to you is, let's think about the individual. Let's think about who is the university involved in? Who is their clientele? Who are their clients? Who are they involved in? They're involved in faculty, right? They're involved in what, Travis? They're involved in staff. They're involved in students. And in healthcare, they're involved with physicians and nurses, their whole staff, and who else? Their patients. So all of this entails data. Let's talk about data that you intimately know. And if I think about that, Alejandro, is what data do you intimately know as what data for the university as a student, right, Alejandro? This is what you all have in common. So tell me, Alejandro, what type of data does the university have collects on you or on all students? We're not going to, profile you and say they just have it on you, right? But in all students, they collect what kind of data? Give me an example.
Their name and their ages.
Okay, so in their name, it's even going to be first name, last name, right? And in database terms, you can put this in, they're called basically fields. You know what? You know a spreadsheet? If I had to take all my students into my grade spreadsheet, one of the first columns would be what? First name, last name, what else, Alejandro?
What year they're in, like sophomore, juniors.
Sophomore, their year, what else? What else do, even what information I have on them, what else? What's
Your
unique
email?
about you? What, let me ask you this. This is what they call a primary key. The definition of a primary key is that it's unique, that only can find you and all of the students in the university. And even though Alejandra, how do you pronounce your last name? Merck?
Yeah.
Could there be possibly another Alejandro Merck?
I mean, yeah.
Yes, it's possible. Maybe there isn't here, but it is, right? So what key would be primary that the university has for specifically? Think about it and raise your hand. Everybody understand my question? What's my question, Ian? What field is unique to distinguish you from another student? Because there could be another Ian, Connor, Lou, right?
Yeah.
So what is it? What do you think, Sawyer?
Your C number?
Perfect. Everybody hear that? C number. Why? Because yours is unique. Now tell me, Sawyer, do you have a social security number?
I do.
This is a question for everybody. Why do they not use social security numbers? Why do they use C numbers? This is for everybody. You want to repeat the question?
Because of the amount of access that you have with a social security number, correct?
First, repeat my question.
Your question
Why do
is
they use C number? Why do they use a C number rather than a social security number?
because it's their own number of their own data for you at the University of Miami rather than your own government and your records and your banks and everything.
And does everyone in the, let me ask this, does everyone in the university have a social security number? Are there situations that don't? Raise your hand in this class if you don't have a social security number. If you didn't. A lot of times who, right? Maria, why do they use C number instead of social security?
Well, because a lot of students don't have them.
Why?
In my case, because I'm not American. I don't live here.
If they're foreign students, they don't have social security numbers. And do they want to count them? But they're students, right, Maria? You're a legitimate, good student and standing. So you should get one. A unique number. That's why. Also, social security numbers can be used for other purposes that are not as safe. So this is called what, Travis? A C number would be then, why is a C number a primary key? Have you ever heard that term, Travis, primary key?
Yeah, I have, because it's like identification.
Identification, it's a key that will identify how many records, one individual, and it will be unique to that individual. If it's not, first name, last name doesn't count. Major, of course, Alejandro wouldn't count, right? No way, because there are many things. It has to be unique. And what's unique is they assign it as people come. I have a C number. I'm part of the university. They always ask me for identification purposes, what's my C number to connect to? Everybody clear with that, with the data? So that's why it's so great when you're doing data, when you're having that data as a way to come with it. And let's do this. Let me share my screen. So Declan, you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, you see it? So when they think about, this is what that next chapter is about, is how do you manage that data? And the way that we talk about is using what they call data governance. Governance is basically the rules and regulations on how we can control the data, and in this case, within an organization. And basically, these are the top topics, is how do you manage that data? That data, and think about the university, Travis. The university, what departments in the university have your data? Let's start with that, Travis.
Probably like administration.
And let's even be more specific. What's your major, Travis?
Finance.
Finance. Okay, your major's fine. You think the finance department has data about you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. Who else? And the finance department is in what school?
The Herbert Business School.
The Herbert Business School. So does the Herbert Business School have data about you?
Yes.
Right. And then what else? Who else? And the university, what other administration? Does the registrar have data about you?
Yes. And like
Right.
professors.
And the financial aid may have information about you, and housing may have information, and the health center may have it. And maybe if you have a car, parking may have it. And maybe if you're part of the wellness center, the wellness has it. And then if you go to the health center has all your data. And if you're in a sports team, right, the sports team has it. And if you're in intramurals, it does. And if you're in sororities, it does. And if you're in the library, it does. And if you're in the meal plan, it does. And then when you graduate, and admissions has data about you. And when you graduate, there'll be another alumni association has data about you. And the whole idea is, how do you manage all that data? And let's say, Travis, you move from one location to another. Where does, and does, there could be a number of different departments that have what? Have the same data about you. And do you want to change it in, let's say, 20 different places when you move? You don't want to do it, and you don't want the system to do it. So these are areas in which you do data management. And there's something called data governance. The difficulties of managing the data becomes, one is, I have to decide as a university, what data am I going to collect? I have to decide that it's current, and I have to make sure that I can trust it. And I have to make sure that when it changes, the system changes it correctly. And all of this is called data governance. And guess what, Travis? A big area in the future is not only data governance, but AI governance. Can you think about that, Travis? That later on you'll have a lot of agents in a system. And what does somebody have to do? They have to make sure that that is updated, that is working correctly. So every time that you're going to be creating an AI agent, Travis, is what? It may work now, but the systems may change, and it may come what? Just like software, it may come outdated. And who decides in an organization which AI agents do we want to have there? And we want to make sure what, Travis, that it's not dangerous. That are we opening up other areas that I can basically, with ChatGPT, ask questions that I can find out who the CEO is, what is its name and password. So there's the difficulties of managing the data, and the data is growing. I can get it from multiple sources, the data, from social media. A lot of times admissions, what do? Is they look at your social media. Declan, what they're going to do is say, hey, what is your social media? Let me go on your Instagram, see what it is if I'm going to be doing it. In terms of a job, potential job employers as well, news sources, and then they have something, Declan, is called data rot. What does data rot mean? That the data's been there for so long that it's outdated. It's almost like, have you ever had like a yogurt in your refrigerator? Not that I'm talking, right? That it's past its due, good date, right? So that my yogurt may be rotting in the back of the refrigerator. My data may be rotting. My data may be degrading. And then what do I have to worry about is data security. Can you imagine when they get all of our data from the university? Why do they want to get into our network? Is they want to take, guess what, Declan? Everybody that gets on, that's on campus, that gets onto the Wi-Fi, you're part of the university's network. And guess what? There are a lot of thieves or hackers just waiting to grab onto your computer, to take your computer without you knowing it, and your computer is going to hack other computers, and you're not even aware of it. And guess what? They get 15,000 laptops hanging around. They can take it in, they can invade. It's almost like a spider web they can invade. So data security becomes important. Data quality becomes important. It's integrity, that I can rely on it. And sometimes there's government regulations. If you're finance, banks have certain regulations that they have to keep. If you're in healthcare, you have to keep your data fast as well. So these are important. And basically, when you think about this data, there's something called an approach to managing your data. There's something called master data. Master data are like the names of common fields, like your name, your first name, your last name, your C number, your major. Those are kind of master data that won't change. It's sort of like even in a business, their customer client overall data, where they have my first name, my last name. They even have, in a way, they have my address, my phone number. Those are usually not going to be changing so often. That's master data that they have. And then they have what we've talked about before, is that database approach says, I don't want to keep my data replicated the same, my demographic data in my admissions, in my registrar, in the School of Business, in the finance department. I want to try to create something that my data won't be siloed. So in this case, what's important is there's been a sense called database management systems. You'll have this on the exam. I guarantee it to you. Brennan, this will, I guarantee, will be on the exam. And a database management system is a way in which organizations try to organize that data so there won't be data redundancy. That I won't have Brendan John Burton 100 times in 100 different files, but rather I will reduce that data redundancy. Why do I want to reduce that data redundancy? That I don't want to take up room for your name and your C number 1,000 times throughout the university. I want to reduce it, but I also, what is your major, Brennan?
I'm doing finance.
Finance.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
what year are you?
I'm a junior.
So if I get someone looking for a junior in finance, and are you in any certain clubs or anything? What's special about you? Anything unique, Brennan, that you're
I
doing?
play football here.
Oh, you play football. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to have somebody that's a football player or in sports or on the team.
Okay.
I don't have that access
Right.
to that team just by chance. I know that, right? Because we discussed it, but I don't. So in that case, that data isolation may be just to the sports team that knows that you're on that team. So the idea for database management, when I put a lot of the common data together and other fields that may be important, I know when somebody's looking for another scholarship, that knows they're a finance major and they're on the team and they're a junior, that isn't isolated. And also data inconsistency, maybe somebody put in the wrong, in typing, you can make a mistake and they have your one address here in one database, they have another address and another one, that I can reduce data inconsistency because I have less chance for it to be duplicated incorrectly. So when I think about a database management system, I think that it's going to minimize these three problems. Data redundancy, meaning I don't have multiple times. Data isolation, that I, as a professor, that I'm dealing a lot in the community and they say, you know what, we want to support and we want to set up an AI for sports figures, that I say, hey, this guy would be really good to work with and he knows some finance, that the data is not isolated, and that I know I can rely on my data more. You got that, Brennan?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
But the thing is, because I'm putting my data more in one spot, Brennan,
Right.
I'm going to have more data security issues. Because if I got a hacker and I have it all spread out, if they get a piece of like a hacker comes into me, what are they going to get? They're going to get PowerPoints, let them get PowerPoints. But if everything is put together, right, I'm going to have to increase my data security.
Yes, ma'am.
Also, if I have a mistake in my data, if it were many times I had your name and one time it was misspelled, I say, hey, it doesn't, maybe the computer program could say, hey, there's an inconsistency here. Let's go to the source. Brendan say, really, Brendan, how are you spelling your name? If it's at one time, then I have problems with data integrity. If it's put in once wrong, it will remain wrong. I won't have something up there that will flash to tell me, hey, this looks like an issue. And data independence is basically, I want the applications to be independent of the data, because if I switch software, my data will still be intact. So if, for instance, the registrar changes their software, I still want them to keep your cumulative GPA. Everybody with me? So this is where you can see in a database management system, you see I have the registrar's office, the accounting office, I have my athletics department. It's funny, huh? Athletic team. And then in this case, I'm going to put all that data from your athletic department and also the accounting department getting my finances and the registrar getting your courses. They will be placed into a database that from there, I can produce course listings, course enrollment, student tuition, athletic teams, student athletes, and now, right, that the financial situation for student teams are different as well, right, Brennan? So I may want to take that into account as well. So that's what's important with a database. And then when I think about it, how you need to know this too for the exam, how data itself is broken down is by this. Everybody needs to know the definitions of this. A bit we had talked about before is just a 0 or a 1, on or off switch. And if I think about a byte, Maria, if I think about a byte you can put as a definition here is just a single character. So Maria, if I look at your name, right, your first name has how many bytes? It has 5 characters, so it has 5 bytes in it. No big shake. M is a byte. It's just another word for a character. You can think about it. But digits are also bytes. And a field, Maria, a field you can think about is a column logically grouped. So if I have you have your grade, I have my grade book, I have C number, a column, that's a field. First name, that's a field. Last name, that's a field. Test 1, that's a field. Test 2 is a field. And a data file is like a sheet. And all the sheets together are considered to be a database. You got it, Maria? So that, a lot of this, it's just in this type of what they call information technology terms. And in those information technology terms, they have a hierarchy where they have a university database, which we have in common, right? We have a file, which could be, in this case, even in this case, what? My file could be my grade book, right? Where I have a record, and you can put this in your notes too. A record is like a row in a spreadsheet. So if I have, Maria, grade book, I have all of your information in one row of Maria, right? All your data, the row is called a record. And a field are what, Maria? Columns. And a byte, Maria, is characters. And really, in that case of the bits, it's zeros and ones. So notice here, it's John Jones, right? And his name, his major, and his number. So in this case, let me just go to the slideshow. Let me just do it from the current slide. So if you looked at this, Maria, right? If I told you, this is my table. These are what? Student name, student ID. What are these called, Travis, in database terms? These are my fields.
Yeah.
These are my fields. And each one of these rows are called what? Records. Everybody understand it? It's simple when you know it, right, Declan? Simple when you know it. They're just calling this, and this will be part of the test then when you think about it, is what is here. And then if I ask you in this specific, Declan, if I ask you in this specific one, what is going to be my primary key, my unique key to find a certain record or a certain row, it would be what field? Declan.
The student ID.
Yeah, so simple, right? But it's called primary key. And later on, basically, AI now will populate these if the data is in the right position, and should be able to do that quite well. And then the characteristics then of big data is, what's an example of big data? The example of big data for finance is what? The stock market, right? I have all my what? I have all my symbols, right, Travis? And if I were going to be doing, I want to predict next days, whether I should buy, sell, or just stay in place, right, with AI models. It's basically, and I'm streaming, it could be billions of records there, right? Because would it be just at the end of the day? I could do what? I could do every 5 minutes. I could do every minute, or I could do tick by tick. So try to blink your eyes. Everybody blink your eyes 5 times. In high frequency trading, people are in and out of a trade in that amount of time. Can you imagine that, Marie? They're in and out of a trade. So basically, in big data, I have to analyze that data. And it's important for me. Remember, we talked about that latency. When I go to YouTube Live, there's a latency maybe of 30 seconds, right? Remember when I'm like waving, it hasn't waved yet. That's going to be too slow for me if people are going to follow me of my trades. So these are things that we'll talk about. So that's the idea. And the next part of the data will be talking about data warehousing. That is, I'm going to put my data that what I call is non-volatile, that doesn't change, Travis, and I put it in what they call a data warehouse to do analysis, and with the help of AI to find insights and patterns to my data to make better decisions. And that's what I'm using, and that's what they call, have you heard of like a warehouse where you're storing hardware? A data warehouse is software among large servers holding data to be able to do analysis. And a data warehouse is they use it for historical data, not for transactional, but for historical data to find patterns of what are my best customers. What are the students that really love to come to the university? What are the characteristics of those students and succeed well and get high-paying jobs and are just in love with this place? What are the certain characteristics? And if I can find those certain characteristics, I can get those students to flourish, and I can then do what? Change what, Hunter? Change my recruiting pattern to find those and say, hey, these are the characteristics of those students that really fit in well. And those students that really were, transferring early, let's say, what were the characteristics of those students? Or what are the characteristics of those students that succeeded well? Was it that they were in activities, or they took certain courses? And we don't even know, and that's where you get the insights. Okay, any questions? So how can we summarize then? Ava, you did a great job in sending this out. What students need to know about Wednesday, what's due for Wednesday, what's due for Friday, and we're going to meet again formally on Monday. You want to go over that, Ava?
Do you want me to say what we need to do?
Yeah, just give an overview for everyone and make sure what's due this week.
So we should have the individual project, try and have it due before class on Wednesday,
Right.
so that you don't have to do that as well as the group
Well,
project.
well, the group, because you can't do the group unless you do the individual, right, Ava?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that you'll get credit for the individual if you haven't done it. Okay. And what
Mhm.
about the readings? Is that
Those
due on Wednesday before class?
Friday, everything's Friday, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Wednesday is due the rest of the
oh,
reading.
okay.
That's why it's good that we put it. You may want to put it in the chat, right?
Yeah.
The quizzes and the adaptive are still due Wednesday before class. We're just extending the audit assignment.
Okay.
It's good that we clarify, right? Perfect. Okay. Anything else? So you want to take attendance, Isa, my dear?
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
thank A and D for helping me. And everyone to do. So you kind of. So stay with me after class. Do you have certain questions that we can pursue? Okay, 8121. So if you can put that in.
Oh, oops.
And if you can keep a list,
Yes, I got the emails.
okay, perfect. Okay, so everybody got it. Once you put it in, I'll see you next Monday. Hopefully you'll do a great job on your projects. And I appreciate all your help.
Thank you. Have a great
My
week.
pleasure. Sawyer, you want to wake up and I don't wanna wake him. Did he sign in for attendance? So that's good. I can help him. That's health wise. I can get for his contribution for being healthy. He needed extra sleep because of the football game. That's a great shot. We should take a shot of that, and send it to him.
Oh God. What do we do?
I don't know. I can you want me to remove him?
Sure.
I don't know. Come here. That's great, but he's sleeping so nicely. I don't want to
Okay,
wake.
let's stop recording.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Do we stop? No,
I ended the
This is great for my YouTube
I
shows.
know.